as we close on out our day, let's just finish up speaking from your heart without being afraid to be yourself, and you will know love, and you will find those who are true, because those who are strong have inner security. The strong ones come alive with their default mode network. They don't stay with a child that has trauma or any of that. They don't ignore the smart therapists. So they get their base chakra, right, online, and you lay a solid foundation. So once you have the body and the mind all good, now we have a generative spirit. So mindfully living and or spiritually living and loving, okay? And so empowered relationships, they're about love, expansion as a whole self, and the securely attached person and mystic is that which you will cultivate long-term relationships with, because we get to support each other in a way that says yes to connection, and we say yes to the body's state of safety anchored in ventral. So we know how to practice living and loving from the aliveness, and we don't find it boring at all to be self-aware, accountable, and healthy, self-soothing, and regulating people and partners. So non-traumatized people, when emotions come up, it's because the charges don't stay charged, because you're bilaterally, vertically, and overall integrated. And you know mindset skills and mindfulness practices, and you expand with those inner growth mindset practices that we talk about here, and that lifestyle and all these choices. So in the future, and again, remember, for the video practical exercises, you want to subscribe to Spotify or Fanbase and or other podcast platforms from Spotify. So the seed of enlightenment is within everyone, but it's once you are whole and owned or on that journey to this. Otherwise, all the yoga, nature walks, and mindfulness meditation or spiritual and personal growth practices, you will not be anchoring in inner stillness, because you don't know how to be still. Like enlightenment, you have no capacity to use prefrontal, like the Zen master who talks about laundry. He does temporal junction and rumination. Instead, what we do is anchoring in our ventral, thanks to owning our sense of self, which means you own your solo self, narrative, relational core self, and you own that because of knowing how to be your own safe haven, secure base. So safe regulation and healthy, non-reactive, okay? So restorative embodiment, that becomes your go-to, and you're speaking from your heart while being who your child parts, no, you're a higher grown-up self of you. Your child parts are asleep, you recognize when they come up, and you navigate the thread to your vessel because the insula is active. So now we have a mind, divine masculine, bilateral, masculine, feminine is what I call it, and you got a divine feminine, your open heart and your gut, it's all working great in a state of harmony. So when choppy waters from the storms come about, what do? You're surfing. That navigating is your prefrontal, like Tara Brach would say. You got a prefrontal down, and that's because you've decided to breathe and calm yourself, do something that's fun, journal, mindfulness, and meditation, but really you're also going to go and hang out with those loved ones. So body, mind, brain, heart, and self, that's where you're a secure inner child adult, okay, functional inner child adult, being yourself with flaws and integrity. So we get to be generous, not the pretend type, but the real type, and that's because we don't have envy, jealousy, spite, or vindication, or any of that, which is ignoring how we can have felt. So when you feel that people will have wronged you, if you are a person who speaks from your heart without being afraid to be yourself, you will still know love, because Jesus and Holy Spirit and God are the ones that got to continue allowing me to choose it when I was an adolescent. That was in addition, my mother first taught me. So when you're a child-centric environment person and you get taught the manners, then you get reiterated by a very basic set of principles, you don't lose yourself. And you don't lose your heart, value, body, your energy, mental, or emotional, which is why you stay connected to pure consciousness, Purusha, unconditional love, and you stay connected to pure energy, Prakriti. I call it the whole 3-year-old heart. So when you meet people who don't have that, it's okay, because you know how to, again, be with integrity. So what other people say about you doesn't matter. It is you who will not be ashamed of what you have done. And so if I will have treated you with kind intention, even if I can't prove it, I will not let me be a trickster, okay? And that's one of the things that any person who's non-traumatized and who has chosen connection and the forgiveness and unconditional love of those of us of a community, again, here at IHP, that does involve Jesus and does involve compassion. As a scientist, they're just as compassionate, if not more. When I think of Stephen Porges, Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk, Patrick McNamara, probably even, Robert Sapolsky. I mean, he wrote a book on Determined, how there's no free will. It's not because he wants to justify. He's trying to say, look at how much data we have of what begins a specific journey. It's about people being able to be healed and become whole and not have to suffer. So the ones of us who are in favor of heart and being yourself, it's because we know that you can make it over the hump like the choo-choo train. And so we don't treat people who have biological rudeness with shame, blame, fault, revenge. We are able to be in a ventral vagal state because that's the whole point. And so you'll always know who is a true person, and that's a securely attached lover, and that's the person who's an empowered masculine feminine who is in the mix for the ones of us who are of our 5D mystic enlightenment, 5D mindfully living, loving as yourself, basically a person who knows healthy self-worth. Okay, so you don't say, how dare you trauma dump, you know what, you're not pulling enough, you know what, you're ew, yucky. None of that. None of what is really petty shit. I mean, I can't even believe at my age that I got just enough to be saluted. But then again, I can believe it because a bunch of people ignore the neuroscience, the neurobiology, and the mental health professionals to the extent of telling me, I find it hard to believe the first use of life is why, blah, 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 blah. Or you got people going and saying, you know what, personality disorders, they're not healable. My colleagues are all against me. Wow. Oh, I'm so sorry. Your colleagues are all against you. Oh. So when you're an academic, even though I didn't choose to stay, and you notice these academics wielding their mouths like that, you just think, I think of teenagers like, nobody understands me. I did that once. I'm like, what are you talking about, Maria? Everybody understands you. What is this bullshit? You got a twin, you got a mom, you got a younger sister. You can talk to whoever you want about anything. So that's how it works when you're able to just have a good time as who you are, and then to enjoy your relationships, but then to also enjoy learning how to continue choosing unconditional love, kind intention. So when we have splinters or ruptures, that's what the people in the therapy smart ones talk about. I just call it I have a twin. I didn't realize that they had to be called splinters or ruptures. I mean, I don't have any of it. That's why when Sadhguru says, you're a shit, no, you're a shit, meaning that people who love each other. but the words aren't what are important here. What you want to know is, first of all, what nervous system mode are you leading with? That's number one. So are we leading with a protection? If you have any type of envy, jealousy, spite, that means you still have shit that you can work on. You don't have to. You don't have to do any of it. But the point is, that's the stuff you're going to work on. As you work on it, if you want, then you're going to slowly move into this space called eustress, if you will, because you're going to allow yourself to let go of what is a small energy. But to do that will mean that you're not seeking vindication for when you do get into situations where you feel it's unfair. We talked about this yesterday. So that is the stubbing of a toe. Also, that's the same area that I'm going to say people who want to use the word God and universe and source, anytime hearing them with the surrender, trust, divine counterparts, the ones who are navigating from this. And so they're not internally securely attached. Their child parts are not theirs. They're not the ones who can say it'll be okay, meaning to emotionally, mentally, and physically say it'll be okay. This is our secondary human consciousness, which is where those lovely therapists, again, they say that we have a dilemma. I call it the human condition because it's not a dilemma when you're a non-traumatized human being, because you self-regulate even in the absence of relationships. Trauma charges. Then we have big trauma, small trauma, okay? So non-traumatized comes from Pat Ogden's wording. She has sensory motor. She opened this way of, or trains this way of, I forget the words for it, but she's awesome. And so you can look her up. And when people don't understand how to process their emotions, it's like the Zen master. So they are building trauma charges. Okay, so you do have the opportunity. The part is every time it happens, you get to say, oh, I got emotions. Neutrality, oh, I got thoughts. They're not irrefutable facts, which is why some people are like, I don't want to do that. I just want to curse. Well, fine, go curse. The minute that you're making choices, though, by being aware that you're now then saying yes to stay in a protective nervous system, that's the minute of, do you really want to do that? So people who find it boring to be in ventrovagal, they find it boring because they haven't done it enough to notice the ecstasy that you get, by the way. And so with that, it's very uninteresting for those of us who do speak from our heart without being afraid to be our true self, to meet those who are not true people, but we do know how to love. So we leave it alone. And life partners, no, you're not going to be life partners with any person who's a liar. That's how I call the facades. So like with my friend that I used as an example, not the only one, that I can tell you when they got a mood, they don't know how to speak clearly. They know how to bullshit. And they're bullshitting you, but they're bullshitting themselves. And then when you try to say, okay, this is bullshit, which is why I don't do it at all. Because anytime I have done it with people who I am really good friends with, it doesn't. Ego will consistently be what they will choose. So the left mode is what they use. And that's the part of why it's just not going to work out as a person that you're going to be in an intimate relationship with, because they're not intimate. Again, I'm using my facade friend as an example, but it's the person who's speaking from the heart is always open. And that's because you're in a ventral energy. And so you consistently have no trauma charges building because you are empowered. Whether you're a woman, man, or they, you're an empowered body walking around. Okay? And that's why we get together here. So come join us. In the meantime, Default Mode Network is alive, not pseudo-live. Awesome. People who find alive boring, they can go and hang out with their pseudo-live, drink, drug, do fucking, do all that shit, and then complain about it and continue with gender stereotypes and all of what you see on YouTube. I mean, really, it's amazing. No, it's not. I find it completely... I have no words except for I'm happy to be here for the 5D mystics and the 5D people who are into being healthy, because it's really fun to have those who are true to themselves. Like Patrick Tiahan points out, we get to be real. We don't project. We're empowered, not hypervigilant. So you don't build friendships based on, I need to watch my back all the time. Oh, look, I did everything for everyone. I mean, you grow up and you're like, what the fuck is, what's this? So I'm saying for me, as I got to grow up and witness different types of things, I just didn't think anything of it, because why would I? Now I have an explanation for you. So if you're of our 5D collective, you're going to join us, because I'm pretty sure you're pretty humored by all that those of yesterday used. So we're going to keep on making fun, not in a mean way. That's why we have new stories. They're not badasses. They're not Lucifers. Nope, they're just people who ignore Patrick Tiahan and to go get their trauma healed from somebody serious. And yeah, they get to be the unkind cowards who are going to continue to wield their words. And then again, we're not going to stop them from wielding their words. We want to follow the laws. We want to pay attention to how we can best speak and come together. And then we're just going to have a good time. I love to love. And my baby, he loves to dance and he loves to learn and he loves to expand and not cast stones. And that's why... catch a falling star and put it in your pocket. Save it for a rainy day. So we'll be back with more tomorrow, though. In the meantime, it's nice to have you all here. Like, share, and subscribe. And do remember, once again, we are not going to impose on people to get their default mode network to aliveness. They actively find it boring to be in true love relationships. In fact, Stephen Porges was going to write a book about what true love is. Publishers told him that people only want drama. And I'm to this day pissed. I like information, Stephen Porges. I will read the book if you write it with your wife. Because we, the ones of us who are smart, we're actively, intellectually, emotionally, mentally, and physically smart. We want to read good pieces of information versus bullshit. Do you know that there's still people who say that you're half a brain? I remember when I found this one out. It was about, I forget, 5-6 years ago. I was like, okay, wow. And I was reading it with another person, like, I thought it was true. I was like, yeah, I know. Why do they still have pop psychology? Why aren't they cleaning us up? Because, that's the part. So we want to try and remember, I'm pseudoscience lady. I can fuck up data. I can forget it. I do know where I learned the good data from. But this is where staying grounded in reality, knowing that anything that we say can be falsifiable, being subjective in the sense of knowing a subjective opinion here, not irrefutable facts, thoughts and emotions of this human being with me taking information in, bringing to something Okay, discerning, always discerning, but that doesn't mean that you're like, it's giving me a confusing shit. No, discerning means I know that she doesn't know all things, and then it's also with no charge versus that judgment, which has charge. Even though, again, you can use words however you want, but I got the explanation from someone and it's like, yeah, that makes more sense. Because discerning is saying, well, for Maria, I will not be in any way, shape, or form in any kind of romantic relationship with a person who doesn't know how to be true to who they are and show me their whole 1 year old, 3 year old, and be alive. Because really, pseudo life people are not interesting. They're small energies. I'm an empowered feminine. I'm not a distorted one. And I never have been distorted because I have a whole 3 year old heart and I know how to speak my truth. Eric, I have a tail. I ain't getting rid of my voice. Excuse me. Did you think that you were picking me to change me? Yeah, no, that doesn't happen. So sorry. I don't even know. No, I'm not sorry. Actively as a teenager, I'm like, that's not love. You don't change me. You say, I like you for who you are, and then we get to keep on becoming more of who we are. Oh, and we know how to tell each other the truth. Like, okay, this isn't your strong suit. This is your strong suit. This isn't. You know my cousin Vinny? Yes. Anybody? Watch it. Watch when he is whining about something and she's like, okay, and she gives him the real deal. That's how it works. But we don't do it in a way of shaming. So we also take note. If someone says, you hurt my feelings, okay, let's talk about that. Doesn't happen here though. I'm sorry. This is, yeah, no, not, I'm not sorry. I'm just saying empowered people don't actively have an ego that gets sensitive because we know how to not harbor shit. And whenever somebody's harboring shit, it's because they haven't learned how to speak up. And really, excuse me, I'm going to pause myself just to remind you. Terry Real is awesome because he helps couples who are afraid to speak their truth because of being afraid of losing each other. Again, I'm a whole 3 year old heart, so that's why I call bullshit. Because yeah, I ain't afraid. You ain't in my fucking pocket. I can't lose you. I can't lose you if you are meant. No, it's not. You're meant. Here's how I'm going to conclude this episode. The teenage boyfriend, whenever it was finally finished, one, the grown-ups lied. I love him the same because the love is the same for all people out there. And when people don't believe me, I allow them to try to get into building those little. So love is consistently you and your oxytocin gene hormone because I'm safe to be Maria all the time. You're not going to change me because this is who I am. I ain't going to hide me. I don't have anything to hide. Again, I wasn't shamed as a child, and I'm not ashamed to be myself. I'm Maria. So that's what you feel like. Here's who I am. So even if your feelings get hurt, because this is the part, we are all sensitive, meaning when somebody says, nope, you're out. You're like, oh, I'm going to cry. And now, so yeah, we can cry. It's just not tragedy because you didn't break me. Meaning I don't feel like a piece of shit now in here. I can cry. I don't feel like a piece. Okay, so we want this from our immediate family. That's the first herd. Then the ones you pick. I picked them. And the adolescents. Oh, yeah, there's only 2 people from my adolescent life that are consistently in my life, and a third really, and they're all women. Well, I forgot my facade friend. Yeah, that's right. And let's see. Well, I'd have to stop, but at least 4 people. But I don't hang out with him because he doesn't live near me. The other 2, we hang out. So I'm saying those adolescent people, out of the crew of them, there's 1, 2. Well, the husband of my friend, but they're like an item. So, anyways, that's basically family. And then my family expanded. Okay, so you're going to, as you get older though, by the time I'm in college, this is where it's bonus. Whoever wants sticks around, whoever doesn't. That's it. So you're not longing. Whole people don't long. And this is the part. It's not, I'm risking a relationship. Teenage boyfriend breaks up with me. I'm processing it. I'm going to process it. That's actively part of the organic, biological way it goes. Nobody gets addicted to anything when you own your sense of self. Not when you're a person who has low self-esteem. You don't own your sense of self like my facade friend, and you don't choose to become empowered and therefore reparent and become the grown-up, higher grown-up self of you with someone like Patrick Tiahan. I didn't need it. So by the time I'm, my last breakup before Twin Flames, I'm being told, I thought you would change. I said, excuse me, what? I'm confused. You know me. That's my response was, that doesn't make any sense. 4 years and what change? Where? So you don't feel that you need to change for others if you're empowered to be yourself, you see? And you don't be like, oh, now I hate you. No, these people from my past are still in my life. There's only one that isn't, and there's a reason for that, and it's okay. And actually, there's other people, but we're going to leave that one to the side too, because the reality is we never know what tomorrow could bring. Oh, yeah, some people are very fascinating to say the least, but long story short, what I was trying to get to is when they said you let him get away, I said, what was he, my dog? I don't have a dog. I have a person. Was I supposed to have him on a chain? I don't use chains. That's not what love is. So this is where love is easy, because you are a person who loves who you are and you're sharing who you are. And that's why you don't have fear of saying anything of what you think. And oh, let me add, we all know what teenagers do. The unkind cowards, right? Because see, to me, you're a coward and unkind when you use spiteful tactics, because it's a low energy. It's not a Lucifer. It's a actively a tool brute. It's a coward's game when somebody wields their word in a way. That's how a person who's empowered will feel. Which is why I don't want to play the game with you, because one, you don't get anything out of it. It's not satisfying. And really, it's unfortunate because it's a dysregulated body of a person who's still suffering. So you just know that you're picking up on what is suffering, and it's not something that you find humorous, because again, it's not an empowered person will not find it in any way. How am I going to explain it? You're a coward. You don't know how to speak honestly. So the gut will immediately be, this is bullshit. Whatever this is, it has nothing to do with you, me, growing. It's bullshit. So I'm going to drop it. I'm not going to waste my time in it. And that's the best way that I can describe to you all. When I think of teenagers, I thank them all, because I learned what cowards do. And then I got busy with life. And so if you don't know how to speak your truth, my facade friend showed me what to do about that. Attachment trauma educators tell me about the default mode network. I've seen it. Pseudo live people, uninteresting. So when you meet them, though, I'm gonna do soon enough to be saluted. It's buffoonery. I walk around and think, what the hell? No, I don't. I'm not. When I share the stories, I can explain and expand. But my point was, we don't lose people. If you're empowered, you'll know that. If you're not, then you will be afraid. And Terry Real, he helps couples who are afraid to talk to each other. That's why I brought him into the mix. So if you have any kind of fear, he's great. He helps women and men together equally. He's an awesome person, and he trains therapists. I have one of his courses. I need to do it, but there's a very specific way that he talks to you about how to handle it. And I get it. I get what he's saying, because I've met people who don't know how to talk to each other. And because they don't know, they shy back. Now, for example, I can be nervous about telling you what I think, but I'll tell you. If you push me, quote unquote, meaning that I and you have an honest conversation because we're honest with each other, or maybe you're not, like my facade friend, but still you know me so well that I'll come out, I'll tell it, and that's it, and it's done. And I'm not like, oh my God, I wish I wouldn't have. Again, as you grow up, you just know you're going to build good relationships, and the ones who are basically not able to be true, you learn all of their tricks, which aren't interesting. You don't play with them. You just know that that's who they are. So the tricks are more of, again, like my facade friend. They become well known to you. You know what? We're going to close out with this. So when you find a true partner, for those of us who speak our truths without being afraid to be ourselves, you can't lose them. You can't lose love. It's not hard, and they are true. True people, healthy self-worth, healthy self-soothing. They know how to be the compassion. The circle of compassion does not work and does not move the energy of life if one person is missing, and that person is you. Jack Cornfield, PhD. So we definitely know, again, gut will tell you in a series of, not even by the time you have the third interaction, by the fifth, it's done. I'm actively going to be aware that you don't know how to consistently be vibing like that Zen master in your higher potential as a human being. It's not good or bad. You're just not your empowered feminine or empowered masculine. When you live in close proximity with the same people for a period of time, you slowly get to know everything about them. Sometimes you see them beautiful, sometimes angry, magnanimous, or petty. Everyone's drama unfolds in front of you. You know how they think and feel. Consequently, you may become hugely opinionated about each individual. This is Sadhguru that I'm reading to, okay? And then he goes on to talk about how everyone has the possibility to flower into a beautiful being. Yes, you become enlightened when you're your higher self. You become a healthy person when you're in your non reactive, when you're in a connection, when you know how to process anger, all those basic emotions from the depths of you. And that's with words and not an inner critic or outer critic. When you're able to breathe, sleep, there's all these great ways that the good therapists help anybody who wants it. Okay, so the ones who are telling you it's not inherently healthy or enlightenment to be non-reactive, it's a bullshit statement. They don't like it. They also tell you you have no emotions. That's another bullshit statement. Your emotions first. Those first 3 years are implicit memory, which is why people who will disregard all of this and find it hard to believe or bullshit, yeah, I'm pseudoscience lady, but it's not bullshit. But the people who don't want to hear it, like that avoidant, it's because their inner world doesn't feel alive when they're alive, and they're scared shit. There's anger and just, Peter Levine again explains it. Bird, broken wing, I can help you. No, backing up into the cave with the cat I go. And Patrick Jehan confirms it. Going and dating toxic people, continuing maladaptive patterns of behavior. Dr. Daniel Fox confirms it. So you're going to see it. It's not a Lucifer. It's people who don't heal their trauma when you're going to see the bad, quote unquote, what bad behavior? Unhealthy talk, unhealthy behavior, monsters, anger, pent up bullshit, a lot of things. Yeah, the world isn't safe. No need to dramatize it. And we can have leaders who work together, which they always are doing. It's the year 2025. So as long as that asteroid doesn't hit us, we're grounded in reality and knowing, yeah, we're going to keep moving forward as we always have done. 2 hands, 2 feet. And there you go. So nobody's wasting time in the stories of those people who instead are creating a bunch of divisive stories. But anyways, the more opinions, ideas, conclusions, and prejudices you have, the bigger the distance between you and that possibility of becoming the beautiful flower. Allow yourself and everyone else a fresh start. What I'm going to say is this. When you know how to be a differentiated self, that means you can share with a equanimous tone and equanimous heart. I have conversations with all types of people. And because you don't have a sensitive ego, you don't take offense. And that's because that's how it works when you're a discerning person versus a person who judges, meaning I know what's right and wrong, which is the adaptive child with the charge. And that is when the rigidity, unforgiveness, and the non-bilaterally integrated person will keep on trying. As Terry Real points out, the adaptive child doesn't care about having an interaction with you. They care to fulfill what they want to do, which is why they're a pattern like my facade friend and anybody else. So when they get in a mood, because they're a karma wheel of themselves, they're going to engage to get the outcome that they're looking for, because here is wanting it. If they're aware of themselves, accountable, regulating, and deciding I don't want to be an asshole in this moment or let my mood, this is the moment of I won't be unkind, I won't do it, or it will be I'll notice that I was doing it and I'll be able to say, I brought up this stuff that I'm still working to or working from, but that's only if you're taking yourself seriously to repair. So again, true people don't bring to you an attitude. They don't bring to you their trauma in a way of where I see people who completely just have unfinished business doing it together. Terry Real, a great name to go to for couples. Patrick Jehan for childhood trauma survivors. And he's healed, I would say healing, and he's really awesome. And here, obviously, everybody is welcome. You all know this. But again, we own the sense of self. You own it. You want secure attachment. You want ventral energy. You understand that it's not judging emotions, not judge, envy, jealousy, spite. No, but you get over the hump and you get out of it. Otherwise, go join the Zen master who has laundry, who doesn't learn how to use bilateral, vertical, and overall integration and mindfulness mindset and mindset practices because he doesn't want to. You have a bunch of people. If you chose the people that are healthy, then they don't ask you to change, and you don't change, they don't change, but you treat each other with integrity, with equanimity, and you learn. And so those splinters and ruptures, they're not, I'm going to cancel you, I'm going to block you, you're an energy vampire, this is people who don't know how to be grown-ups. They're still, again, okay, so grown-ups talk, and then they have a good time. And then if it really is incompatibility, but this is like Michael Yapko says in one of his episodes that I learned from. It's a course again, and he says people, they just don't know how to maturely address situations. Most of the time, you don't have to end a relationship. Obviously, though, I'm going to allow myself to pause, leave it alone, continue another day, because everybody has a different story. My story is that I am a person who grew up with Jesus, with God. I keep repeating it because I learned about forgiveness and I don't play God. So I don't cast a stone. I learned how not to. And I also understand the therapists and what they inform me, and I feel bad for people who don't go and heal because they're not evil in a way of there's a monster. No, inside of them there's trauma and there's a body. It can all be healed, a mind, all of it. So I am educated. I know myself, and I know what it means to be human. Besides a mystic, there you go. I mean, but with faith, I do not let me play God. That's the part. And why I do not look at anyone who wants to read to me anything and think, oh, I'm going to look at you like you're God. You're not God. So you're going to have a blank stare, because in the minute that people do that, I know that they're in ego, and that is all. But for some people, when you don't come with that level of faith, okay, I guess you don't come with it this way, you'll have a different feeling perhaps. So I'm just saying, I know some people don't have the forgiveness thing, and that's where I'm just leaving it alone. But in the meantime, for love and romance and relationships, it's when you have a healthy person in front of you who can talk the truth. And as for your friendships, you can be friends with a bunch of people. You don't share a home with them. And so that's a different story. And if anybody needs that extra support, again, Terry Rio, Patrick Tiaham, they're really awesome. We'll be back again with more tomorrow. Have a good one.